Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to
Good
another
evening.
episode of the Savage Patriots.
Happy Monday.
Uh, we are, yeah, happy Monday. It's not really that happy. It's Monday,
Wow.
but
Yeah.
True.
you know, I think they should flip the week every Monday. Just flip it back to Friday, so we never experience the week. That'd be amazing. Um,
Time
just get,
is an illusion.
yeah, just get paid for the time that you didn't work. That'd be great. Hey,
Technically,
just,
Sundays.
we'd be
Only Monday.
socialists at that point. That'd be good.
It's only Monday because they tell us it's Monday. In your
Man,
brain,
stop.
it could be any day you want.
It's
Time is
still day.
illusion.
Well, that's
Still
just like
day.
they're supposed to be 13 months instead of 12.
That's right.
Listen,
28 days.
I want to see you stop
Mhm.
aging if time's an illusion.
Well, don't.
Now go ahead, stop aging.
You can't
There's
stop
natural
aging.
Oh,
time.
go. Well, you do it. You're the one that don't believe in time. Go ahead.
Look,
Time is on my
Hey,
side.
don't
Yes, it
worry about
is.
you
So we're
can't
gonna
stop
talk
the
about
vessel
the-
from aging.
The Biden administration and their approval ratings. Because
Do we have to?
next year,
Yeah.
next year's election.
That's true.
Hmm,
Um,
maybe.
Where they got into polls.
yeah, we don't get into the polls. So,
Yeah.
we're gonna listen to what his ratings really are, and also to uh, Kamala Harris's approval rating.
All in all.
Yeah. And then we'll look at what caused their approval rating to be so high. They're amazing. They're amazing people, and they have a very high approval rating, higher than Trump.
I can't wait to vote for him.
Yeah, I can't. Me neither. I can't wait. That's why I'm not waiting. I'm not voting.
I'm voting now, today.
So let's take a listen and see what they say. It's long, but not that long. Okay, so just let's hear.
Poll finds Democrat support for President Biden has plunged over just the past few weeks. As the Israel-Hamas war has taken center stage, 75% of Democrats now back the president versus 86% just last month. And when it comes to voters overall, President Biden's approval dipped to 37%, matching a record low. Let's bring in White House columnist for The Hill, Niall Stanich. Niall, help me break all of this down. Niall, Gallup polling finding the lowest level of support among Democrats since President Biden was elected. The very same poll back in March found Democrat sympathies for Palestinians now outweighs that of Israelis, 49% to 38%, a drastic difference from 2 decades ago when Israel had majority support. Is there a connection to that in this recent drop, or
No.
are there other factors in play?
I think it's primarily being driven by exactly the issue you mentioned, Nick. And I think this is a fascinating issue because it's a really clear example of how foreign policy and American domestic policy and politics intersect. What we're seeing over a long period of time is younger, more progressive or left-wing Democrats becoming more sympathetic to the broad Palestinian cause. So it's not only that they have a difference of opinion with President Biden, they view this conflict through a fundamentally different lens. So for President Biden, it's about standing by a US ally, this sort of plucky democracy that is encircled by hostile nations and has suffered a grotesque attack. Progressives don't see it that way at all. They cite things like Israel's decades-long occupation of the West Bank, which has, after all, been held to be illegal under international law, or its long-term treatment of the Palestinians, which, after all, has been condemned by a number of international human rights organizations. So the whole way of looking at this broad conflict is different. And I think it's that schism that is driving the drop in the poll.
No, it's not. That is not what's driving the drop in polls, like at all.
Yeah,
None of
no.
that matters because he had a low approval rating long before the Palestinian thing kicked off.
Yep.
He was
Mhm.
at 37 long before that. They just want to try and butter this up as much as possible to a specific account, to a specific event, so that when this passes, they can raise it back up and say, see, it
Yep.
was that reasoning, and now you
Mhm.
should go vote for him. It has nothing
Yeah,
to do with
I
it.
can show you on this graph where it went inverted. I wonder what happened then.
No idea.
No idea what happened in 2021 that made it go vrr and start going into disapproval.
Well, you
I
see,
don't
what
know
happened
happened.
was, okay, what's you see, okay, so you see, there was so if you have, okay, so oranges, right, are a very
Yeah,
cool fruit. And
Oh,
so if you don't have oranges, you can't have bananas.
yeah. Uh-huh.
So obviously
okay.
that made is because it was round, and a banana is straight and slightly bent, you're gonna have a disapproval rate.
But where does the bric-a-brac sauce fit into all that? Though?
Right there at that apex of the purple with the blue, right?
Oh, that's right.
Oh, isn't that in that area where it dropped? That's where he mispronounced Worcestershire
Worcestershire sauce.
Wash your sister's sire
sauce.
sauce. Yeah.
That's where
Both of
he
their-
said it wrong. That's
Yeah.
why his approval.
That's what it is.
And this is after true national depression.
depression.
Yeah. So both of their disapproval ratings went inverted right around the exact same time. So what happened in September of 2021 that made people show disapproval? I don't know. I don't know what could have happened.
Nothing happened then, Coy.
Yeah. Nothing happened in September. Nothing happened.
No.
Nothing.
You are stretching and reaching. Okay. Look.
What
Look
Donald Trump
listen,
said.
folks. Listen.
With a lot of polls.
Listen. That they are trying their best with what they got.
Just like bad calf care.
Just
That's what it
yeah.
is.
So don't dog the man for what he couldn't handle and do. Come on.
He wants
Come
us
on,
all to
man.
have bad calf care, guys. Come on.
I don't know, man. That makes me want to go to the voting booth today and just stand in line and cast my vote when the polls open up tomorrow.
Because like you,
Yep.
like you
just
guys,
early voting all day.
I just want true national depression.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
get
all I-
depression. I want some. Come on, man.
Let's
Right?
take a look at something. Maybe we can get
I
the
mean,
answer that Coy has.
He is
in his
who he
back
is
pocket.
because that is who he says he
That's
is.
just
He
that's
is.
he's who he is.
Yeah.
Let's take a look. Okay.
Come on, Fats.
Let's look at what he's accomplished so far. Okay.
Mhm.
Piece
Let's
by
go.
piece.
From
Let's look at
NBC
it.
News.
Day 1. Memorandum freezing approval of rules passed in the final days of Trump's presidency.
What were those rules?
I was gonna say when
What
rules.
what rules were those? I wonder.
Hmm.
Executive order rejoining the Paris Agreement on climate change.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm going to
yes.
put a challenge to the audience. You ready? I want you to pick out from these orders ones that really affect everyday movements of Americans and everyday lives of Americans, and see how much what he's passing helps you. Okay?
Mhm.
Does the climate
helps.
change
I thought-
agreement help you?
Yeah,
Anyone?
I
No.
thought you were going to say hurts you, but yeah.
No,
help.
helps.
It does.
I want to know which one helps you.
No.
Does the agreement joining the Paris Climate Accord help you?
No.
No
Executive order to promote racial equality.
equity.
Yeah. Sorry, equity.
Wrong E.
Same thing. It's all the same.
Nah, I mean,
It
doesn't help.
No, okay. Proclamation ending ban on U.S. entry from majority Muslim countries.
Doesn't
Anything?
mean
No.
a whole
Okay.
lot.
No.
Executive order requiring mask wearing on federal property.
Doesn't help.
No.
Okay. Executive
masks
order
help.
coordinating a government-wide COVID-19 response.
No.
Executive order revising immigration enforcement policies.
Definitely not.
Quite laughing.
Definitely.
Oh yeah,
definitely
that one
not.
really helped. I'm
Mm.
so glad that they listed that as his thing to be proud of. It's like, oh, here's all the things he got done. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
the worst immigration crisis in the
Ever.
history of the United States is happening right now, and you were the one that did
Made
away
it
with the
happen.
policies
Yeah.
that were working.
Okay.
Brilliant.
So far he's batting 0.
Yeah.
Zero for however
Zero.
much we're at now.
Yeah.
Order undergo regulatory restriction on federal agencies.
Hmm.
Okay. Executive order incorporating undocumented immigrants into census.
No, that doesn't help. Oh gosh, man.
Yeah, see, that one right there is funny. You know why? Because that only bolsters certain cities and states
To get
That-
more seats.
to get more seats. Yeah, so
Hmm.
that helps you only if you're in the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay. So it doesn't help regular people. I get it.
No, it
Executive
helps the
order
party, though.
refocusing on the climate crisis and canceling the Keystone permit.
Why,
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
I
look-
do enjoy paying $4 a gallon.
Yes.
Yes.
I,
I do like having no lube. I
Hmm.
appreciate it every time that I go to the pump.
I feel like
I
PUBG.
enjoy paying $4.79 at the gallon per gallon here. You know,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that, man. Just raise it more.
Raise it more.
Oh,
My truck
yeah.
loves it.
Executive order banning discrimination on the basis of gender identity and sexual orientation.
That was already a law. So
I don't know what he's but it's no because of Joe.
Wasn't
we're
that in
gonna make sure
something-
that the
what-
executives in the departments are.
Wasn't that in
Getting
something called the Civil Rights Act, though?
Something like that.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Could've sworn it was already-
Memorandum revamping regulatory review.
What's being regulated? What's being regulated?
They know he passes these things that are super vague, so that you don't look into the weeds to see exactly
yeah.
who he
It was an effort
stuff
to modernize and improve the regulatory review process.
don't
That's
even know
been
what
helpful.
that means.
That's
Mm.
helpful.
Thanks, Joe Biden.
Executive order mandating ethics pledge for government appointees.
Okay.
Ethics.
When did any of these people have ethics? That's my question. It's like you had to have ethics in the first place to pledge that you were going to use them. Yeah. Like I pledged to have ethics. What are ethics? Can you find a box of ethics for me?
Yeah,
Doesn't every individual define ethics?
it's right next to the Q-tips. Everybody
Oh,
knows
okay.
that.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Along with grid squares.
That's right. Proclamation pulling funds from the border wall.
That helped me so much, guys.
That
You have
was-
no
Man,
idea.
that right there. I mean,
Mm.
Oh,
I feel so much better.
Like
that he
pulling
signed
funds
that.
from the border wall to just make sure that my life goes. I feel seen, Marlon.
Yeah.
I feel
You
so
know,
seen. I'm honored.
Yes.
Mind
what's
you,
funny
people,
is
these
they
are
just
executive
reversed
orders,
that.
right? These are
Yes.
EOs. Okay, these are things he signed almost day one.
They
Mm.
want executive
He cannot blame Trump for any of this because he rescinded nearly everything Trump did with executive orders.
Mhm.
Now,
Yep.
for people who are lefties and want to say that Biden inherited this and inherited that and inherited the other,
Yeah.
you can't then say he inherited it when he canceled all of it to create his own thing.
Oh my God. Is that something called, should we say it? Critical thinking?
Critical thinking.
Oh my God. It's
It
such a
requires
great
critical
thing.
thinking.
And YouTube is banned.
And
Oh my
here's a slogan. It's Build Back Broker.
Build back broker.
There it is.
Back
There it is.
broker.
Build back busted. Executive order pausing federal student loan payments, which was actually overturned because it was
Yeah.
unconstitutional.
Mm.
So he's trying to appease people, and he actually would lie to them and say, "I'll get it gone," and they were all happy, and then they realized, wait, I gotta pay it still. Yes, fool.
They
you do.
they borrowed the Panda Stone from Disney, so
Disney,
they could,
hey, it's a
they
good
could
stuff.
make that work.
Memorandum reinstating deferred enforced departure for Liberians.
What? What the?
Reinstating deferred enforcement.
I didn't even hear about that one. That one's interesting.
Is
Okay.
Did you remember that song by Michael Jackson, Liberian
Dude, that was
Girl?
just in my head.
Liberian Girl, right?
Liberian girl, you came and you changed my world.
Apparently, it changed Biden's world too.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. I mean,
Memorandum
why-
strengthening deferred action for childhood arrivals.
Oh, DACA.
Huh.
Okay.
Okay.
Daka.
Reaffirm the DACA program.
That mind you, that was day one.
Day 2 of
One day.
effing up.
One day. One
Mm.
day. Okay, day two.
That first day is the one that really messed up his entire presidency.
Yeah, that's
honestly.
what he
Out
couldn't
of that
undo it.
whole thing, there was at
His
least 3 of
entire
those that
presidency
screw
was
up
messed up the
everything.
day he decided to run.
Way
As
back,
I
way
would
back
quote my
40 years
favorite
ago.
president right now, Barack Obama. Never underestimate Joe Biden's ability to f things up.
Pick things up.
Yes. Well, it's actually Obama behind the scenes messing things
Yeah.
up, but we're not going to talk about that. You know.
Or Big Mike.
Executive order promoting COVID-19 safety in domestic and international travel.
Are we still in that movie?
That we were.
That was
you
just
know.
day
were-
two.
That,
That's just day
that
two.
was 2 years ago,
Yeah.
3 years ago
Oh,
now.
okay.
Executive order expanding access to treatments for COVID-19.
Hmm.
Even though that same now remember he signed that and New York was still killing old people, but I digress.
Yep.
Yeah.
Executive
about
order promoting data-driven response to COVID-19 when they had no data because they were collecting it, none. Even when people would tell them about what was happening, they said, "You're a conspiracy theorist. Shut up. We're not taking your data."
You don't care about grandma.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Memorandum supporting states' use of National Guard in In other words, we could lock you down. We're not
Mm.
talking about that. Executive order strengthening public health supply chain.
What does that even mean?
They're planning for future pandemics and biological threats.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
They
see,
tell us.
in his executive order, he put in place something for when he needed to dispatch UN help here. Just so you know.
So how do they know there's going to be future pandemics and biological threats?
Because Fauci said so.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That guy.
That's what he said. He said specifically that, actually.
Yeah.
Executive order to establish another C-19 equity task force.
Oh,
Equity.
Yeah,
Meaning, I'm going to pay more attention to this group than that group. And anyone care to guess which group probably got the most attention?
Black people.
And it's not
The
black people.
gays. The gays.
The gays.
Oh.
yeah.
This is day 2. We're on day 2,
Day 2.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Oh, black people already took a back seat,
Yeah.
right?
Forever
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
Nothing
we
yet
took
for
a
them, by
back
the
seat,
way. He promised them the moon, stars, and everything above it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, they
Executive
always
order
promise.
supporting the reopening and continuing operation of schools.
They should never have been closed in the
That-
first
that-
place.
thank you
but-
very
They
much,
never
Jamie.
should have been closed
Exactly.
in the first place.
You're
Do you
doing
know the
undoing
data
something you
on
should
that?
never have done. Go figure.
Do you know
Oh,
the
that's
data
like-
on schools and how many kids are so screwed up because of that policy?
Hey, my kids were. They were totally jacked up not having their friends. I can
Isn't
admit
just-
that.
They're like
Just
grades
education
behind now, right?
itself, like we're talking 2-3 grades behind in an already
Mm-hmm.
underserved and underdeveloped education system in the United States. Like
Exactly.
they were already behind, let alone COVID. Now it sent them back even more so than before. The numbers are staggeringly ridiculous.
Hence, get rid of the Department of Education.
We
Yeah.
should have never had it to
Yeah.
begin with. Workplace safety for the pandemic, pandemic testing board, and then day 3.
Yeah.
That was just day 2 was all COVID related.
All
Jesus.
COVID.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Okay. Day 3. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Executive order expanding food assistance programs.
Is that why they make that fake chicken?
No, you see, day
Snap.
3. Day 3 is a extension of day 1 because remember he opened the border, right?
Yeah.
If you open the border, you have to increase supplements for the people that you just brought in. This is not about welfare. This is about making sure you have resources to feed the illegals that you bring in.
So Miguel, wait, hang on. So it's going to be Miguel and Marisol who's going to get the benefits
Right.
over Tyrone and his family.
Right. Got it. Now, this is the fun one. This is a fun one because we have 2 vets on the screen here, right? Executive order assisting veterans with death. Now, Biden's order asked the Departments of Veteran Affairs with considering, not telling them to do it.
Yeah, no, just consider not doing that.
The
And-
order asked the Department of Veterans Affairs to consider it.
It's not okay. There's 2 contradictory things there. You can't order and ask at the same time.
Well,
and you can't do
you can.
considering if you want them.
You
to do it.
can,
Order is
consider-
asking.
if you consider the order a piece of
Very
paper
nice
with
one.
words on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so my order is this. I can show you my order. This is your order. What does it say? It doesn't matter, but this is the order. Okay, good. I have your order right here. So what does the order say? Well, on the order, I'm just gonna tell them to consider doing stuff.
Well, it's like, here, I order you guys to please maybe consider freezing the federal debt and overpayment collections from about
Yeah.
2 million vets.
What is?
I
is
order
Biden
you to
married
please.
the VA. Can you pretty please like maybe
Get rid of the
passive
VA. too.
aggressively like not do the debt thing?
We don't need
there?
the VA. We can find
Yeah.
other means to do
Like
that.
the VA will never, and I mean never, not collect debt ever. That is not
No.
happening. There's not been. They don't care. You could be dying in a bed somewhere, and the VA goes, "Hey, you still owe us $4,000."
Yeah.
Look.
They don't care.
It's like this, okay? This is what the order meant. Consider yourself going to a restaurant and you order a steak. And the person that you gave the order to goes to the chef and says, "Will you consider making this for this guy?" Then he comes back to you, the waiter comes back to you and says, "Okay, the chef is considering your order. And if he feels like he'll make it for you, you'll make it for you. That'll be $15. Like, what?
Consider making my
Like,
food, please.
what? You paying me $50? I'm paying you $15 for him to think about making it. Not make it. Just think about it.
So much word salad.
I would have rather Biden had ordered for them to consider not killing vets with needles and other
Needles.
things.
Yeah, that'd be
I
great.
would
like-
consider them getting rid of the VA and letting all these vets find private organizations, because the VA ain't nothing but a cesspool of freaking
I don't-
losers who don't help vets, who do nothing for vets. You can't even get on a phone with the VA to get help. So why do we have them? Just get rid of them too.
Let's reword the statement. Biden's order made the Department of Veterans Affairs freeze federal debt and overpayment collections on 2 million plus veterans. That's what it should have been,
Mhm.
That's what it should have said. And that would have been
but it
better.
didn't. We maybe kind of sort of have to kind of maybe sort of ask you to hopefully maybe think about maybe possibly, if you'd like. If you don't, that's okay. We just thought we'd ask you to do it. That's an executive order.
It's like, maybe
This
'cause-
is day 3, gentlemen.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, ready. So far, nothing's benefited Americans yet, has it? No,
Not yet,
No.
no.
Okay. Executive order guaranteeing an unemployment insurance for workers who refuse to work.
Due to COVID-19.
You know. Look. Anyway, I'll come back to that.
If you
Executive
were to
order
refuse-
establishing benefit delivery teams.
What?
Okay.
That's a new one.
What's that one? Establishing a network of benefit delivery teams, which will coordinate with the state and federal agencies to facilitate the distribution of federal aid amid the pandemic.
So you may not get it, but we have a team looking at who should get and who shouldn't and how much.
Mm.
Because
what
not
it is.
everybody should be covered equally. So executive order facilitating delivery of stimulus payments,
Oh yeah.
so they
We
can
need more of
monitor your
those.
bank account for the $600 you might have in there
You mean the money that should already be mined in the first place?
in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Executive order to address C-19 economic relief. Shouldn't that have been covered in the one you just said you passed with this one?
Yeah.
I just thought maybe you might have double spoke. Executive order empowering federal workers and contractors.
Empowering. What does that
How
mean?
did he empower him?
Undoing Trump era regulation that rolled back protections for federal employees. Biden revoked a variety of measures, including a rule that made it easier to hire and fire civil servants in policy making. And that's exactly what I should be able to fire you.
Yeah. Okay. I see.
I
what
mean,
it is.
and that's the problem we have now with the big government, is that people can't be fired. There needs to be a whole bunch of people fired.
That's what that was supposed to be for. It was to be able to fire people. And he said, "No, you can't fire these people. We need them. They're unelected bureaucrats."
Huh.
Those people are what are really running the show.
Oh, day 6.
Okay. Y'all ready for day 6?
Mhm.
Now,
Wait.
hold-
he got,
before you say,
he got tired of signing day 4 and 5.
Yeah.
hold on. Listen, day 6. This is a message to Black America that voted for Joe.
Mm.
When Joe said you need to work with me to the Black panel and the Black caucus, because before too long you won't have a chance to work with anybody that looks like me. When he promised you that he'd be for you and that your whole schools will be better and everything will be better for you.
Mhm.
When he said all that, his 6th day after passing executive after executive after executive order, none of you showed up yet. He has not even remotely taken care of you yet. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
We're on day 6. Okay. Executive order reversing transgender military ban.
There was never a ban to begin with, right?
Proclaiming a
There was.
proclamation and reinstating COVID-19 travel restrictions.
Wait, is that an order or is that a proclamation? Because those are two different things. Like, I
It's the-
proclaim that there's restrictions, and then there's the order of.
Look.
being
According to Ron White, you could take the train and you could take the donkey. It is the same price. It's all the same thing. Okay. Executive order promoting Buy American agenda. I think Trump had already established that forever ago.
Yes.
Yeah. He just wanted to make it his own thing. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Day 7. Executive order calling for evaluation of Trump's housing policies.
Oh. Okay.
Mind you, the housing policies enacted by a Black former Section 8 person in Mr.
Yeah.
Ben Carson. I'm just saying there was a Black dude in over that who had lived his entire youth
HUD.
in Section 8, and he made it out, so he knows exactly what it takes to make it not to reside forever in Section 8. Okay, so I mean, who knows? Executive order to end reliance on private prisons, while he was the one that promoted it in the 1994 crime. I'm
know,
just trying
right?
to say
And Kamala.
You mean him trying to correct the thing that he messed up in the first place?
he's not
Got it.
correcting it. Look,
Yeah.
read what it says.
No, I said
In an,
I said trying.
No,
I
no,
didn't say
no,
he
He's
did.
not even trying.
He's like he said, in an effort to terminate the federal government's use of privately owned detention centers, because you don't want them privately owned, you need them government owned.
To
The
not
Attorney General
renew.
has been
Yeah.
directed to renew Department of Justice contracts with private prisons, not renew them. Okay,
Yeah.
so we want them federal, not private.
Yeah.
Okay, because you know what happens with private sometimes, that the prisoners actually make it out and never go back because they have a different, more scary policy. It's not candy and sugar and TV and playgrounds. It's usually very strict. Anyway, executive order reaffirming commitment to tribal sovereignty. Executive order denouncing anti-Asian discrimination and xenophobia.
Which no yellow person ever asked for.
Ever. So I'm still no black people yet. Okay.
You got LGBT. You got Native Americans and Asians.
Liberians too.
And Liberians.
Okay.
So the other Africans.
The other Africans, yeah. Day 8, executive order initiating plan to combat climate change. Memorandum on scientific integrity. Executive order
Science.
reestablishing Presidential Council on Science and Technology. Day 9, executive order reinforcing Medicaid and Affordable Care Act. Memorandum expanding access to reproductive health. In other words, a new way to kill babies. And there you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
You
first
know,
9 days.
I just want to say that I am black now because I will be voting for Biden.
Yeah. So the first 9 days of all these things,
24.
he did not do
And
anything.
Camel Toe is getting my vote. I think she's a great vice president. And
one of the best.
She is the best vice president we've ever had.
Oh, man.
Her laugh, I just love her laugh. Some people call it a cackle. I just say she's just really excited. That's why she laughs.
She's
like
exuberant.
That.
She's
exuberant. That's why.
Yeah.
So that's Biden. Now let's listen to Kamala's version of her approval rating. I love this guy, by the way. I love Sky News.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
Sky News is like the best thing out there since buttered bread.
Let's also not forget, guys, that the 100 executive orders that Biden issued cost the taxpayers up to $1.5 trillion.
Yeah.
Especially the Keystone Pipeline.
In 1 year, less than 1 year. Sorry.
Yeah.
In 9 days, actually. Okay.
Kamala Harris, how is she going? We haven't talked about her tonight. Well, apparently she's going great in the polls. Apparently.
There are reports that say that you have the lowest approval rating of any vice president. I'm curious how much of a role, if any, that you feel race and gender play in that.
Well, there are polls that also say I have great approval ratings. I think the point that has to be made is that there are attempts to create distractions.
Great approval ratings? Well, okay, whatever you say, Madam Vice President. But I'll just note that PolitiFact, which is probably the most lefty fact-check site on the planet, looked at this and called it false.
Pause for a quick second.
It's over anyway.
Yeah, you know you're so horrible at your job and you're so horrible at representing your own team that your own team is calling you out on your BS.
Yeah, nobody likes Kamala Harris.
Right now they're sitting at somewhere in the region of 33 to 37% approval rating overall for both of them combined. Okay.
What?
So, yes.
Yeah.
30, combined.
Wow. And when it comes to Kamala, if you go back to 2020 or before 2020 during the primaries, what was her approval rating before she was nominated as vice president?
0.
It was low. And then for her to become vice president and to think that her approval rating's getting better, as she would say, she's lying to you. No one liked her back in 2016 or 2020, 2019. No one liked her then. No one likes her now. She's just an Indian Hillary Clinton. That's all she is.
Not even Indian.
Whatever she is, whatever she claims to be that day. Yeah. And no one likes Hillary Clinton. No one likes Kamala. So
I'm sorry to admit this. I'm sorry to admit this, guys, but she and I are the same race.
Mhm.
The exact same mix.
I
I'm just letting
blame
people
you.
know she and I are the same mix.
I blame you.
yeah.
It does not reflect the mix because the mix that she's actually mixed with are smart people. But she
She's
might have
just
been
really
born
dumb.
under weird circumstances where she might have fallen and hit her head. Because here's the thing: if by all metrics, okay, this administration has not done its job. I don't care. Okay, if you want to calculate that Trump did something horrendous to the economy while he was in power, but at the same time tell me that it belonged to Obama. Listen carefully. He inherited something good from Obama, even though when the prices came down under Trump, you attributed that to Obama. But when the things went south, you attribute that to Trump, but he still inherited Obama's thing, which was, I still can't make that math.
Yeah,
It's almost
right.
like so let's just
Gotta
say
make that work.
that Trump gave Biden the absolute worst of the worst economy, and he signed executive orders to make it better, or that he put plans to make it better. Please explain 2 years later. I'm just curious how long it takes.
Mm.
Does anybody remember
Mind you, Trump has
2019?
not had any say over anything.
No.
And so what is happening now? Remember, I read off the executive orders, right? And he
Mhm.
undid nearly everything Trump had done. Okay, and when Trump signed stuff, things took effect almost immediately. I'll tell you I'll give you, and you can call it anecdotal if you want. That's fine. I live across from Lowe's, and everybody knows the price of lumber is a good gauge for exporting and importing prices in
Mhm.
Americas, right? Okay. If it's one thing you can bank on is gas and lumber. Those two things kind of show you where the country is going financially. While Trump was president, decided to build a entertainment center. And I tried to find a mid-grade wood, higher than hemlock, but not quite cedar. You get what I mean, right? So it was in the middle. It was still a white wood. I think it was birch I used or something like that, but it was a mid-grade 1x4 slats of wood. And I made this able to house a 55-inch TV. When I put the thing together, the total cost of lumber, screws, nails, varnish, all of it I got from Lowe's. The total came up to almost $350. Okay. And I am talking about something about 7 feet tall and about 8 feet wide and about 3 feet deep, all built with slats and 2x4s. Okay. I'll give it a round number of $350 is what it cost me. I decided to price this out when I took that thing apart and mount my TV to the wall instead, because I wanted the room. I live in a small house. I went over and I found the same lumber, the same screws, all of the same equipment. Tell me, what do you think the cost came up to when I tallied it all up?
Say
7.
800.
$540.
$765.
Claude Hammers.
That's nearly double.
Yeah.
Somebody said
Yeah.
IKEA. You could have went to IKEA and got it cheaper than that.
Yeah, but they don't sell the size I want, and I have to
Oh.
wait. And I like building stuff to my specifications. I hate buying stuff when I could build it. But what it did benefit me is when I took it apart, I saved the lumber, so now I have free lumber. That still cost me the same because I just took it apart. Now I can rebuild more stuff now without having to buy from Lowe's. But the point is this: I gauged the economy and what affected me, and I linked it to the person in power. Now, when I go to the person that's in power now, and I go to the place where I bought something before, the price is drastically different.
Yeah.
I went to Florida when Trump was president, $1.12 gas in Florida.
Yep.
Right now, it is almost triple.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I had gas up here for $2.80. It is now $4.90. Low grade. Upper grade is $5.12.
Yeah.
You can't
And-
tell me that my pocketbooks are not affected by stupid stuff that the president does or good stuff that the president does.
Mm-hmm.
That be either by his words because people listen, or his policy that he passes. And don't tell me what the Congress and he promotes policies, and he has a certain agenda that his party pushes. Don't be stupid and try to come to us with this nonsense about it's the Congress's thing.
Here's
Come on.
Here's a good judge. So people will say it's like, well, it's it was Trump. It's like that's the reason gas got up. And it's like, no, it's not. Because here's a good metric and understand how that is. Because gas now is more expensive than it was under Trump. Trump had
Period.
it in 2019. It was the lowest it had been since probably early 2000s,
Mm-hmm.
since like Obama and everything. It was the lowest it had ever been. Now, COVID happens. Demand on oil and gas went down. They couldn't give it away
Mm-hmm.
because they had too much, right? So there was no demand and there was a ton of supply. So that should have made it cheaper. Yeah.
Should.
It did not make
Theoretically,
it cheaper.
yeah.
It should have made it cheaper, but it did not because policy had changed the way that they were going to get the oil after the demand came back.
Right.
There wasn't going to be enough because
Now,
that pipeline would have been built.
the flip
Would've.
side is that we started to outsource what we could have insourced.
Yep.
Okay. And you can talk about, I see these lefties talking all the time about what do they call those things? The right to drill permits. When you revoke or you put limitations on permits for the American drillers, you do indeed have America have to go overseas, which will eventually cost you more, and it will come back to bite the American people in the behind. If you look, I don't understand how this is the same thing I talked about me. Okay, if I wanted to, I can find and outsource cheap wood, American broken down barns, pallets, and I can build my thing for free and cheap. Or I can order something from Amazon for $500.
That's right.
Yeah.
If I'm right trying to save money, you know what I'd do? Use the pallet wood, blade it down, sand it down, smoothen it, plane it, make it work. Look, and it still look just as pretty. The American government has been notorious for taking stuff from the American people, manufacturing, because Trump was all about building in America, for America, only American, because it would end up being cheaper for the American people because you don't have to worry about the export, the tariffs, the taxes. You don't have to worry about none of that. It's all local. Biden had done a good job enough of destroying the local economy by outsourcing the one thing that everyone needs to get around, which is oil. And then you want to talk about removing it from houses. So now you have to outsource that too. And then you have to try and build more power plants, which America does not have the sustainability because you're not insourcing even the rights for power. Because all the stuff you want for green actually isn't green. It still needs fossil fuels to make it work, even to build it. And you're outsourcing that too.
Yep.
So if you're outsourcing the funds, outsourcing the resources, and outsourcing all of it, what do you think is going to happen? It goes skyrocketing for cost. Who's going to feel it? Me. How is this difficult?
I mean, if you put things into perspective, so if you think about, for me in the industry that I'm in, if you go to a farmer's market, say I go to a farmer's market and I buy a dozen carrots. If you match that price that you buy at a farmer's market to a price you buy at a major supermarket, i.e. Sprouts, Walmart, Target, the price is going to be a huge difference from buying it locally. So, and if you get where Marlon is going, if we drilled here in America, local, like he said, we don't have to pay for the taxes or the crazy shipping, all those hidden costs that they don't tell us about that are within it for the transport and all that. We're paying for that when we go and purchase gas. We're paying for all those little costs that it costs them to get it here. And then they get rid of that. And now we're outsourcing, paying them, some foreign entity, all this money for the stuff we can be doing right here. So Biden, this has been Biden, Obama, all of their goal is to destroy America's economy. And this is one way to do it. Outsource everything. We'll destroy it here. We'll take away here. We'll just get it from there. And we're going to charge them more money and taxes and everything else to get the products that they need. And we're going to destroy their ability to create it here. And that's what he did, is destroy our economy.
Here's something for people to understand is that the key point that they kept coming out of the administration was saying that, well, they have the permits, right? They could drill if they want to drill, right? You can do it if you want to. You have the permits, go drill. Why won't you drill? And it's like, well, because think of it as a farmer. The government comes in and says, hey, I'll give you this land. You can use it as a permit. Go raise stock or seeds or whatever. Just farm it, basically. But then they have rhetoric that says, we're going to destroy all farms. right? And then they're like, why would I build a farm on the land you gave me a permit for if you're saying you're going to destroy the farm? It's the same thing with the oil companies. It's like, why would I drill on permitted government land when you're threatening to revoke those permits and the use for that? I'm not going to invest billions of dollars in infrastructure for a place that I can't even use. Even if I have permission now, you can revoke it at any time. I can't put the time investment into that project knowing I'm going to lose money. It's that simple.
And it goes a lot deeper. Like Coy said, they invest in this land to drill oil. Then you got regulation on top of regulation on top of regulation, and you can't do this and you can't do that, and you have to do it like this. And on top of being able to drill, you have the headache of trying to follow all these regulations without getting a fine. Then you got some random nerd coming in there inspecting your stuff randomly. So you got to worry about that. When overseas, they don't have the same regulations. They just drill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't have to go through all of this, but then they get the gas that probably costing these guys nickel and dimes to drill, but they're charging us hundreds of dollars just to get the same product that doesn't cost anything over there.
Yeah.
Who wants to go through all that?
The green agenda thing that's why it's such a lie. Is like not talking about the climate change thing. We're talking about the agenda of climate change and the green movement, however they want to put it, is that all they're doing is exporting their waste to other countries. Like, the Americas are making it so that we're carbon neutral, but now we're just shifting all of our carbon to a poorer place so they can have poorer air quality, so we can be safer, right? So that's all it is. It's a lie because they're not getting rid of carbon emission. They're just shifting where the emission is coming from. That's what we've been doing.
Yeah. I want to go back to something real quick because I decided I don't know why it hit me as a question, but I figured I'd go check and see. Going back to Black America real quick, and his promises to them. He said that he included it in the what act was this? The Equality Act, and with the new Money Act that he passed, a Build Back Better nonsense, whatever it was, right? So I looked to see whether or not what he had promised, and of course, it was the same promise he made to that Black Caucus panel about making it more equitable and fair for Black people. To do, I don't know what they couldn't do before exactly, but systematic racism. I'm not quite sure what that even meant either, other than the fact that he set stuff up in 1994. If you want to say there's systematic racism, then vote for the guy that created the so-called systematic racism. Then I guess you don't really want freedom from systematic racism. He said to them, "You've always had my back. I will have yours." And so Biden has warned that the Republican-led effort is the most significant test of our democracy since the Civil War. So I want people to understand something real quick. And this, of course, I'm speaking to the Blacks. When somebody doesn't want to do something for you, they will assign for themselves a scapegoat as to who's stopping them from doing stuff. Now, when Biden took over, it was a Republican Senate and a Democrat Congress. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And then that flipped to a Republican Congress and still remain, and they went to a Democrat Senate, right? Okay. Now it stayed, I think, Democrat for about a year, and then it flipped.
20.
Is that about right?
About 20. Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that year, if you have the ones that can actually put bills forward, and they didn't spend their time doing that. In fact, they did everything but that. They spent all their time doing everything, as we read, for the gays and for foreign nationals. This is what now the Black people are saying. You can't say all of that and then say, oh, by the way, that filibuster was more important. That's not having our backs by no stretch of the imagination. Is that how one would define having our backs? What it means to have the backs of Black America and what policy issues are key to Black voters changes depending on whom you ask. That right there Okay, that right there tells me a whole lot about the plight of Black America. Nobody knows what your plight is. I personally feel that we are doing what can be done to fulfill the promise made to African American community, says Majority Whip Jay Claiborne, the highest ranking Black lawmaker in the House of Representatives. So I read that for this purpose. Every time they promise you something, if you want to go back, listen to Obama, and he says the exact same thing. And I'm not kidding you. It's almost verbatim. We are doing what we can. And they always give you an excuse as to why they aren't. They never tell you what they're doing. They tell you what they can't do. Because you know what that does for you? It doesn't tell you that they're not doing it. It just tells you that there is something in their way, but I really want to help you. If something has been in your way for 70 plus years, at what point do you start to think, and you haven't figured out how to get that out your way yet? Maybe you start thinking to yourself, maybe they're not trying to get it out their way. The Civil Rights Bill was passed in 1965, right? Okay. It gave Black people certain measures of comfort as to what they can and can't do. Okay, good. Since 1965, we've had multiple Democrat presidents. I think somewhere in the region of what? 5? Is it 5 of them? 4.
I'd have to look.
Since when? 1970?
1965.
1965. Let's
I think
see.
we've had about 5 of them.
LBJ, Jimmy
Yeah,
Carter.
but he was during the time. I'm talking about after that point.
Oh, Jimmy Carter,
JFK.
Clinton,
Barack.
Obama,
Oh wait, no.
Biden.
And this guy.
There's
4.
So 4 of them, right?
Yeah.
So we've had a fair amount, and one had technically 5 because we had one that ran at one back to back, right? He had 2 terms, so we'll call it 5.
Well, it's actually probably more than that. When was the timeline you were talking about?
65 till now.
Since
After
65?
after Lyndon left.
After Lyndon, let's see. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
So 4, right?
Like-
4 and 1 with 2
Yeah,
years.
from John. You have Kennedy, Lyndon.
after
Johnson,
Lyndon.
After Lyndon,
Yeah, it was Carter, Clinton,
Obama,
Barack,
and
then
Biden. Okay,
Yeah.
so 4 and 1 with 2 terms. Okay, 4 and 1
Yeah.
with 2 terms. In that time, and I hope people do it. I don't think you will, but go back and do it. Go back and see how many times they've said since that bill passed that they're going to do more, and every time you've done worse. Okay, now he just passed a Build Back Better for infrastructure. Has that bill created any new buildings in Section 8? Any new buildings in the projects? Any new buildings in Baltimore? They target all the fancy cities where they reside, not where you reside, they reside. And they'll call it Building Back Better because they're fixing freeways. Meanwhile, you still live in the same house that's roach infested, and the person that you put in power just says, give us some more time.
Wait, you're also forgetting the other thing. So they're going to the places that they live, right, and making the infrastructure better. Then they build new highways that they'll tax you on.
Right.
So the poor Americans actually have to pay more into
More.
what they already got taxed for the infrastructure they already paid for. Yeah.
Now, the big thing here, at least in Washington State, this is how I know they use their money, okay? And I know for a fact it's like this in St. Louis too, because I've driven through St. Louis a couple of times when I was back in the day. The city will pass a fiscal year budget, and they'll tell you that this is going for this is going for that, for land, and this is going for the roads, and this is going for buildings, right? And then what proceeds is a 2-month-long road project of an intersection. One intersection, where they dig up the intersection. They spend about 6 hours on the intersection working. The rest is on brakes, on leaning on their stop signs and curtailing traffic. And it's always in a region where nobody's helping anything. And then for another 6 months, they do another project of a roundabout that nobody asked for. And then they'll go back and do another section of town where they just finished working on because they did something wrong. So before too long, all the money is used up in doing, redoing, undoing, and redoing.
Mhm.
Yep.
But they tell you that the money's been used. So now you never really get anything done in the city because you already allocated the funds for what you call reconditioning things, and it never gets reconditioned. So when you start doing this stuff and looking at the so-called infrastructure bill that he's passing, none of it actually helps the infrastructure that matters.
I think Tulsa's a really good example of that. Like that
Yes.
place is bad. If you've ever been in
Horrible.
Tulsa and seen the roads in Oklahoma, it is bad. Like really bad. You can tell the difference between going to Oklahoma and Arkansas. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
Like, just the roads disappearing. Like
And here's the thing, a lot of these funds that they're allocating to fix these roads is kind of like waste money. It's money that they had over from the fiscal year, right? So they have all this leftover money and they have to use that money, or the next fiscal year they get less if they don't use the amount that was allocated to them. So a lot of times these governors, mayors, whoever, they'll have all this extra money and they'll just be like, "Oh, I think that road looks messed up. I drive that road. Let's throw some money into it." And so and then they'll sit out there for months and fix like a small section of highway. And you're asking yourself, why is it taking 6 months to fix this small section? And what are they doing? So a lot of it's just, fraud, waste, and abuse. They have to use the money and they throw the money wherever to their buddy that owns a freaking road company that fixes construction company. They throw the money to their friend and their friend just goes out there and they pick some random part of a road so they can say, "Look, we fixed the infrastructure. We fixed this little road right here." So it's all waste, man.
Now,
Yeah.
I know there are people in here from Seattle, and you guys will remember this nationwide too. You guys remember Bertha?
Mm-hmm.
That big drill that got stuck halfway, and the city lost all kinds of money because they thought they
Right,
could do
I remember
something
that, yeah.
impressive, and it never worked out. You notice how quickly that died down?
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because they invested nearly all of the city resources into this nonsense. One,
Yeah.
nobody, and when I say nobody saw the need for this. Above ground, if ever been to Seattle, and I mean just visit Seattle, please. If you've ever been to Seattle, the roads are, you would swear it's a third world country with the roads. It is horrific road conditions, and you are spending money to bore a tunnel under it and failed. Horrendously failed. And then you turn around and act like it never happened and that, oh, at least we tried.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
what?
just wasting taxpayer money.
This is exactly what
Brilliant.
Biden's administration has done to America. Biden took on America as president and as though America was a pet project for him. But not just any pet project, the kind of pet project that you really don't care how it turns out. It's like a science project for school, and you can just build a lava fountain and you'll be good to go and you'll get a B or a D. But it's okay. You don't care about science anyway. I'll take whatever grade they give me. That was America to Biden. There was no need for you to help. That was not the plan. The plan was to get a grade, and I got the grade. He's been trying out. This was his third try at presidency, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he finally got in. And what did he do with it?
Squandered it.
Nothing.
Yep, messed it up.
And here's the problem with a lot of like roads and everything else. In a community like the subdivision I lived in, the last subdivision, the people in that community can fix a lot of those problems very easily, cheap too. If there's a pothole, I've seen guys go out there and fill potholes in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
With hardly anything, a couple bucks. You get it together. Hey, man, give me 20, 30, 40 bucks each. We can fill this pothole and fix it. There's always somebody that knows how to do things like this. But yet the government's taking millions of dollars, saying that they're fixing a road that probably costs thousands of dollars to plug some holes.
Yeah.
It's all waste. All of it. It's all waste. They have to use this money so they can come out and say, look what we did. And then they show you that they're working on it. So it makes the people feel good. Oh, our government's doing the right thing, fixing these roads. And they're really not fixing anything.
Yep.
They're doing the same thing that some dude down the street can do. Cheaper.
Well, it's an administrative cost at that point. That's the only reason why certain things are so expensive, is because we're not paying for the actual service. We're paying for the manager, the leader, the coordinator, and all that stuff. And it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, it's like one of the biggest things about it is that they've actually stopped people from filling potholes. They'll find them if you fix it because you're not a city worker.
that's insane.
That's crazy.
That's how crazy things are. It's like you can be a good citizen and do a community service and fill a pothole and still get fined by the government
because
for fixing the problem they should have fixed. Because the government's basic responsibility is infrastructure, right? It's making sure citizens can get from point A to point B in a timely manner, right? Like that's the bare minimum.
The reason they don't want you doing it is because you're taking away their laundering point.
That's right.
That you're taking away their laundering point. If I start fixing stuff that take for instance, we had a massive fire out here called the Carlton Complex fire. Okay, it took out quite a few acres, and I mean, I think somewhere near 100 acres it took out. Right, the people that saw the fire that lived around there mobilized the local fire department that were ran by volunteers to try and go onto land that was supposedly owned by the government to put out where the fire started. Otherwise, and houses were nearby, they were going to go and do it. They got stopped because the government said that it wasn't their job to do that, and it wasn't a big enough issue at the time. It turned out to wipe out a majority of fields that were run by farmers. Houses were lost. People, I mean, it cost billions of dollars. And all of a sudden, people start coming out and say, we were trying to stop. They were even stopping people from watering their own lawn just outside their fence to stop the fire from breaching their yard. And many don't want to talk about that happening, but that has happened in multiple places throughout the United States. But the reason they don't want you stopping it is because if you stop it, they can't then go back and allocate funds to fix it and never fix it. That's laundering money, because I can say, oh, man, that's a big fire. We're going to need about $5 billion to fix that. Meanwhile, you don't fix it. The fire damage still stays there. And then you divvy up that $5 billion between you and your friends.
Yeah. The contractors, like if you want to really audit somebody, that's the people that need to be audited. The infrastructure projects that have gone on since like Obama to now. Like all of those projects really need to be audited.
Yeah.
But that's why your approval rating is low, Mr. Biden. You have done nothing. You have done absolutely nothing. You've done nothing your whole life. The only people that have ever benefited from being around you, the only people that have come out positive being around you, are your ex-wife and the 2 children in the car and your dead son. Those people have come out for the better because they're no longer around you. That's the extent of a demon that you are. Dead people are in a better place than being around you. And I don't take that back. In fact, I would dare say that you probably would have touched your daughters if you didn't already. If they were still around.
I think.
Okay. I'm going to say that out loud. So y'all can.
That's the Ashley Biden diary.
You can dog me all you want, YouTube, but that's what I see in this man, and the only people that benefited are the people that are no longer here. You want to know why your approval rating is as it is? Because you are worthless as a human being. Overall, you're a worthless person. I don't see anything good in you. I don't see anything salvageable between you and the knee bender. That is her bending skill is knee bending, not air bending, not earth bending, but knee bending.
Knee bending. That's a brand new skill. And so your approval rating will continue to plummet, and America will continue to suffer as long as you're in power. And it's not going to get any better for us if we keep that fool there. I don't see any out. I don't see any out, because if they have the hand on and what's going to happen, it's going to happen in 2024.
And you got to ask people out there that are actually going to vote for this guy, right? You're only voting for him because you hate Trump. So the destruction of our country is more important to you than voting for the other guy. You know what I mean? And whenever you ask these weirdos on the left, why don't you like Trump? All they do is regurgitate things. They really don't know. It's just a talking point. And just listen to what they say. Jan 6, he caused an insurrection. No, he didn't. He's a racist. No, it's not. None of that's been proven. But you guys, the media has brainwashed you so much to hate one man that you're willing to put in a buffoon who is destroying our country right in front of our eyes, and you're willing to vote for him again to finish it off. It's crazy to me. And we blame you guys. If things got real, if it got real in this country and a civil war started going down, guess what? You have to answer for everything you did. You're going to have to answer for it. And we don't forget. You think people are going to forget? They're not going to forget, and they're going to hold you accountable. I'm just saying, think about it. Vote for who you want. Do you? I'm just saying, think about it.
Just don't complain when things go south.
Don't complain.
Yeah.
You don't complain when that time comes. Don't complain. You earned it.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of stuff coming down the pike. Including the supply. I think we should tackle that supply units that got attacked in Syria by U.S. Forces.
Yeah.
They're trying to kick off World War III, including trying to bring Iran into it. In case people missed it, because of that shooter, there was a drone. Was it a drone strike on some military bases in Syria that belonged to Iran?
There was a few attacks.
Yeah. So you know what that's going to cause?
Invaded into Gaza right as that was happening too.
Exactly. So everybody knows what that's going to cause. That's going to be some fun stuff later on. Obama did the same thing, so it's nothing new. That's why we think he's the one running stuff.
He killed civilians.
We might talk about that.
Americans.
We might talk about that indeed. Also, I want to bring in the fact that that Biden is telling the American people stuck over there between the Israel and Palestine war to find their way back. It seems weird. He did that.
It's the same thing in
Afghanistan. Huh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like when did his inversion of his likability go?
Yeah,
somewhere around when he told Americans to go F themselves.
Some weird stuff happened. Yeah,
but you know, we're living in a whole new universe and stuff. But everybody got to pay attention to what's going on. So we always say on this podcast that what's happening in Israel, Iran, all this stuff that's going on in the world. It goes a lot deeper than what we see on the surface.
Yeah,
way deeper. And if you start digging down these rabbit holes, if you want to go down some rabbit holes, just follow me on TikTok. I'll take you down some rabbit holes. But you're gonna understand something's going on with Israel that goes a lot deeper than what we are seeing. It's a lot deeper, and a lot of it has to do with money and America. Money, big money.
Money.
So tomorrow is something supposed to happen. I'm not going to go into rabbit holes right now, but something big is supposed to happen with Israel's control over a lot of stuff in America, believe it or not. So one of the reasons that they try to keep that control is by drawing us into a war. October 31st is supposed to end. So you might see some changes. Keep your eye on that debt clock. If you guys aren't paying attention, you better pay attention to that debt clock, because the debt clock is talking. Just go to debt clock. You can just search it. Look at the debt clock and tell me what you think.
Debtclock.com.
It's a lot deeper than what we think. I'm the conspiracy theory guy, so I pay attention to all that stuff. I'm just saying, cue it on
for you. It doesn't matter if they get rid of Trump off the ballots, because that's what they're doing right now. If you pay attention to that, they're trying to use the 14th Amendment to get his name removed off of the ballots in Colorado. It doesn't matter if they get rid of Trump. They put Trump in jail. Doesn't matter. Biden doesn't win this election, period. There's no amount of propping up they can keep this man up in, and they know it. It doesn't matter. It's like, you get rid of Trump, that's fine. Whoever's taking his place is the one that's going to get voted in. Unless it's Nikki Haley, then nobody likes Nikki Haley.
Yeah, and like Marlon's been saying, he's been saying it for months. There's only one way that they're going to keep Biden in office. Only one way. Cancel the election. That's it. That's the only way they can keep that guy in office and get to where they want in their agenda. Agenda 30. So understand that if something happens and the election was canceled, this was all planned. All of this. And we said it here on the Savage Patriots. Don't ever forget it. We're the oracles of podcasters.
Yeah, we only have 2 months until the new year, and then election season is on us.
Yes, that's right.
Look at the dead clock. telling
It's
you.
a great stuff. We'll talk Wednesday. And don't forget, this Saturday is our Rumble. Man, I'm looking forward to that one. Don't forget Saturday Rumble event. You can't miss it. Don't miss it.
6:30,
Better not
right?
miss it. 6:30.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we catch you guys there. We'll have topics picked, I'm sure, by Wednesday.
I have mine. I already told
Okay.
you.
Yeah. So we're waiting on the two below, the two white adjacent people. So we'll catch up with you guys then. Don't forget, merch store is open. Check the links at the webpage on our YouTube page. Share the link if you can't and don't want to buy it. Share it with somebody who might be brave enough to walk around the place with white adjacent shirts on.
I have an idea for the merch store, Marlon. I'll talk to you backstage.
Yeah, sure, for real.
Yeah.
But we'll catch you guys on Wednesday, Mr. Lee.
Like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll see y'all Wednesday. Peace.